सूरज की पहली किरण के साथ दिन की शुरुआत कीजिए। सुबह का मंगल प्रभात आपको शुभ हो। सुबह सुबह हो खुशियों का मेला, ना लोगों की परवाह ना दुनिया का झमेला। पंछियों का संगीत हो और मौसम अलबेला। मुबारक हो आपको ये खूबसूरत सवेरा। हर सोमवार से लेकर शुक्रवार तक सुबह 6 से लेकर 9 बजे तक शामिल रहें रेडियो FBCTV पर हम सफर में रविंद्र सिंह के साथ।
Oh, kayak bol-bol cuma tahu kebingan itu mampu. Gua nggak usah nih lanangan itu mampu. Nimbula, ayo Mr. Ben.
Laba?
Na magkikiro manolo kinedero di mataka moni si kinafangarumbuka.
Bula FM. Now we do it shilling.
In this bulletin, Prime Minister's office directs ministries to push funding into capital projects. A lack of dengue testing facilities cause problems for health officials. And People's Democratic Party says it is ready for elections. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. All government capital projects around the country will be monitored on a monthly basis as of this year. Vosita Kotewasawasa reports the Prime Minister's office wants all ministries and departments to spend at least 60% of their allocation by June.
All ministries made submissions to the Prime Minister in December after the 2014 budget was allocated. The Prime Minister's office wants to see that all capital projects are fast-tracked.
Intent or the focus of this government is to ensure that by 30th June this year, all government ministries, not the total government performance, it's all the government ministries, they should be spending more than 60% of their budget allocation.
According to Mbeseti Moala, spending in various ministries used to fluctuate in past years. As of 2014, that must change. Development goals must be met by June.
Some ministries may spend about 20%, the others might spend more than 80%, like that. And to average that, the government spending may be more than 60%. But for this year, the spending has to be on individual ministries. So come 30th June, we expect every government ministries to be spending more than 60% of their budget allocation.
The Prime Minister's office, through the Strategic Framework for Change, has taken on the task of seeing just how taxpayers' money is put to use.
So this year, starting in January, the monitoring will be done on a monthly basis. So we will be monitoring the work of all government ministries and the 3 departments. That's the police, the military and the prisons department on a monthly basis to ensure that we achieve the target of 60% by the end of June.
All expenditures will have to have approval by the Finance Ministry. Vosita Kotewasawasa, FBC News.
Fiji does not have testing facilities to determine the types of dengue virus that occur, and blood samples are usually sent to Melbourne, Australia. Eleanor Tarangaivu has more.
2 tests are conducted locally on people who show up with dengue symptoms. The tests confirm if the dengue virus is in the blood.
So in the divisional hospital, they do it every day. So the rapid test there, whenever it comes in, they will do the rapid test there, one kit per test. So that's every day. And then when it comes up to the National Reference Laboratory at Tamavua, Mateka House, they do that twice a week.
What cannot be established after these tests is what strain of virus is circulating.
Sometimes it's very difficult in past records to really get the actual serotypes. But we've managed to get that as soon as possible this time around. Primarily we don't do serotyping tests here in Fiji. It's done in reference lab, WHO reference labs abroad, so that there's standardization of the actual method of testing.
Dr. Kama says while waiting for the results, Authorities have to deal with increase in cases.
So yes, there's been deaths in past outbreaks, but so far there's no deaths. But there has been hospitalizations. The ministry is quite concerned that there's been a rise in hospitalization in CWM Hospital for the Suva subdivision.
There are so far over 300 cases of dengue fever reported from the Central, Western and Northern divisions. Eleanor Turangaiviu, FBC News.
The People's Democratic Party says it's ready to contest the 2014 elections. Apisolome Doka reports that the party's preparations are in full swing and it is confident it won't have a problem even if the elections are held earlier than the September timeline.
The People's Democratic Party says they are confident of a very strong footing in the elections.
We will be, I think, with the new party that's been there for a year, less than a year in fact. And the momentum with which we have moved ahead and the momentum with which the people have taken the ownership of this party, we are not only going to be competitive, we are going to be part of the government come next election. That's my assurance to the people of Fiji.
Nirmal Singh says voters will have the opportunity to see the party's candidates and judge for themselves through a transparent manner.
The purpose of the party is to create a new political order in this country, to bring a new generation of leaders, and that is our aim. We have been approached by hundreds of people showing interest to stand on PDP ticket, but we will use the criteria, he who deserves must get it, and we will be very transparent on the selection process. We believe that the criteria should be the best person should get the ticket, not the person who has a lot of money. That is not our criteria.
Singh adds that the party, by its own standards, is required to have women and youth represented in its lineup.
The party has a constitutional requirement within its own constitution that at a minimum of 30% of the candidates should be women and youth, and I'm using the word minimum. If we get a higher threshold, that's much better. But that is how we are going to be very focused on selection of candidates, because our driving force is that we must ensure that people who are selected to represent the party in parliament have the interests of the nation and people at heart. We will not tolerate or accommodate any person who will go there for self-interest.
The PDP is planning a national convention where party officials and office bearers will be elected. A manifesto will also be released at this convention before calling for expressions of interest from candidates. Apisolome Doka, FBC News.
People living in remote northern parts of Vanua-Levo are likely to benefit from a vessel which recently joined the local shipping industry. Mikalonga reports the Sea Rakina will service routes which haven't had reliable shipping services for the past 20 years or more.
This is the Sea Rakino, formerly a New Zealand trawler. It's been modified into a passenger vessel and has been issued a seaworthiness certificate as well as a coastal trading license.
One of the areas that we thought would be ideal to provide service is the northern Vanua-Levo area, which is from Lambasa to the Undu Point and Dikombe and up to Nangelelevo. And it comes with government look north policy, which I believe the intention is to develop those areas.
Owned by Billet Wright and Associates, the company majors in the vessel surveying business both locally and overseas. Tangi says they're looking at applying for subsidies under the government franchise scheme since the routes in the remote northern Vanua-Levo region are not economical.
It is understood that there's quite a number of routes been declared as uneconomical routes in Fiji, and they come under the government subsidy franchise scheme. And yes, most of the route has been contracted out to local operators.
The service to the intended routes in the northern parts of Vanua-Levo will benefit thousands of people. It will also activate much needed business.
It is quite a vast area, and the vessel is quite capable of taking those routes.
I do believe this will set up a good morale, and also it will be this vessel is also an assist to the government of the day. We should the government give a franchise and should also assist the outer islands in building up their infrastructure and also delivering services and their goods and their products.
The vessel weighs 229 tons, is 29 meters long, 8 meters wide, and has a cargo capacity of 60 tons. It carries up to 70 passengers. The Sierra Kino is currently servicing islands in the Lomaiviti group at the request of the government. Mikalonga, FBC News.
After the break, more money for dairy farmers likely in 2014.
Sophie.
And I'm Tix.
You can join us on The Breakfast Show
every weekday from Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. till 9 a.m. right here on Today FM.
That's right.
नमस्ते दोस्तों, मिर्ची रफ्तार से मैं अश्निल सिंह। शामिल हो जाइए हमारे साथ मंडे टू फ्राइडे फ्रॉम 3 to 7 p.m.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. The Ministry of Health will continue to improve health services across the country with the induction of 76 new doctors and by increasing its nurse intake to 200. Health Minister Dr. Neil Sharma says they have taken a proactive approach to address manpower shortages and will increase the availability of human resources in health service delivery. 33 doctors graduated from the Umanandan Prasad School of Medicine at the University of Fiji and 40 from the Fiji National University. 3 graduates from regional islands will remain in Fiji to complete their internship. 200 nurses from the Fiji National University and TISI Sangam School of Nursing will be hired, awaiting results of those who will pass registration of the Fiji Nurses Council. Despite many challenges last year, the dairy industry is expecting better days in 2014. The Fiji Cooperative Dairy Company Limited is in discussions with the government to give farmers a better price for their production. Chanel Sivan reports.
What should have been a record year for the dairy industry fell short of expectations. About 350 milking cows had to be put down to stop the spread of infectious disease brucellosis. The FCDCL Chief Executive Sachidanand says, despite those challenges, the cooperative is working towards giving farmers their fair share.
And this is also a major deterrent which has caused decrease in production. So if the price was good, farmers would be producing much more or putting a lot of effort into producing more milk. And this price which we are getting now does not even cover the cost of production, let alone be a profit for the dairy farmers.
He says apart from an expected price increase, farmers can also look forward to a new feed mill to ensure that cows get a balanced meal and produce more milk.
The feed mill is a very important factor in having a good production because a proper formulated feed is vital if you need to have a good balanced meal for the dairy animals. Mill most likely would be coming out of Europe. We have a supplier who is willing to supply, and he has given us a quote. And it's just as soon as I get all the other processes in line, we'll start with the process of getting the mill over and installing it.
Nan confirms the feed mill will be installed by the first half of this year, and this should be encouragement for farmers to have confidence in the industry.
What I would like to request our farmers is to rest assured that FCDCL is fully engaging into getting a better price for our farmers so that whilst they continue doing dairy, they can earn a decent living and invest on their farm better.
10.5 million litres of milk is projected to be produced this year. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
The second batch of checks for the free education grant was disbursed to 308 schools today. Education Permanent Secretary Dr. Bridgelal confirms that $7.7 million has been deposited into the respective school bank accounts. The payment has gone to 240 primary schools and 68 secondary schools. To date, 723 schools have received the free education grant out of the 898 schools that qualify. The final batch of payments for the first term will be made on Wednesday. Sports now, and Jamie joins us with the latest.
Thanks, Jackie. In sports, after the break, the Fiji 7 side marched into camp today in preparation for the next leg of the series, and Tsone Madilai gets named in New Zealand's 7 squad. Details coming up.
Nimbula, metango nimilote na isarotambua. Nama kia umenarua kinaona na vya kavi moniti kina wakarambuka. Rongo mena vya sana kina vipa ka barota kinindre komalolo. Ena radio Fiji 1 na wongani vya niano. Ngai nama kia kina.
जहाँ हो प्यार का बसेरा और रिश्तों की खुशबू, वो है आपका अपना घर संसार. Join me on घर संसार, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. only on Radio Fiji 2.
Welcome back. The Fiji 7's training squad marched into camp today to prepare for the upcoming Las Vegas and Wellington tournaments. The Ben Ryan coach side met for a short briefing at Rugby House this morning before departing for Uprising Beach Resort in Deumba, where they will camp for the next 2 weeks. The 23 players will undergo a training run this afternoon, which will test whether they have stuck to their training programs over the festive break. Only 12 players will make the cut for the USA and New Zealand tournaments. Fiji is pooled with RB Series leaders in New Zealand, Australia and Scotland in the Las Vegas Sevens, which will be held on the 24th to the 26th of January. Meanwhile, former Red Rock winger Tsone Madilai caught the eye of New Zealand Sevens mentor Gordon Tidgens during the New Zealand Provincial Sevens tournament last week. The Fijian flyer who plays for the Fijian flyer who plays for Northland alongside Rupeni Thau was named in Tidgens' tournament team after putting on an impressive showing at the tourney. Madilai first joined Northland after scouts discovered him at the Coral Coast Sevens in Singatoka in 2012. The two juggernauts of local soccer will go into battle mode this weekend in the first leg of the champion versus champion series at Prince Charles Park in Nandi. The Jet Setters are leaving no stones unturned as they look to begin the 2014 season on a high. Chalain Davakadaka reports.
It will be back to business for Western Giants Ba and Nandi when they meet in the champion versus champion clash. Both teams have earned their place in the two-match series, with Ba collecting the National Football League and BOG titles last year, while Nandi claimed the Fiji Fact.
And then Nandi again went and won that Champions League, the Pacific Cup, although that was outside the qualification, but Nandi has been winning, coming up and down. So the two teams have been very evenly contesting in the events, and we are hopeful that the two series will be quite fruitful.
Nandi are the underdogs heading into this weekend's clash, and officials are aware of the tough task ahead of them.
We have started our training from last week, and the boys are training together, and there's no injury in the team at the moment, but we rate by a very highly team because they are whole year they were performing very well, and we are not taking any lightly chances of anywhere in the game.
The match will kick off at 3 p.m. this Saturday, with the return leg to be held a week later at Govin Park in Ba. Chalendo Kavak, FBC Sports.
Well, Nandi seems to be a hive of sporting activity, from the Jet Setters to the Jet Runners Club, who will be introducing mountain and beach running events for the first time in the country this year. Club officials say this will not only create more awareness on health and fitness in Fiji, but attract regional and international events to the country. Mountain races take place over an infinite variety of distance, ascent, descent and terrain. One tournament that Fiji has been able to secure is the Oceania Cross Country Championships in September, which will feature athletes from within the Oceania region, including Australia and New Zealand.
There are some two new races coming up. I'm planning to host mountain running and beach running, which IAAF recognize and want to see countries like Fiji to host it. I think Jet Runners has done a lot in two years' time, and we have hosted cross country and dash runs and etc. So I'm looking forward to organize some new events like mountain running and the beach running, so that I can support my younger brothers and sisters of Fiji in running and improve their standard of living.
Great initiative. That's it from Sports Tonight. It's back to Jackie now with business.
Fiji Airways and Pacific Sun today reported their on-time performance results for December 2013. Fiji Airways reported an on-time performance of 78% compared to 77.5% in November and 88.3% in October. A hydraulic leak and a bird strike affected 2 aircrafts in late December, along with weather restrictions which caused delays on some routes. Pacific Sun reported an outstanding on-time performance of 93.5%. Managing Director Stefan Pichler says most of the delays in December were due to mechanical issues out of their control. They say maintenance and engineering personnel worked hard over the holidays to keep delays to a minimum. Fine weather prevailed over all major centres today despite a forecast for afternoon showers. Looking at the temperatures, 33 degrees was the highest today in Nandi, Ba and Lambasa. The other centres were 32 degrees. More of the same tomorrow. Fine conditions will prevail for most places. There is a forecast for afternoon showers. Occasional showers and few thunderstorms over the eastern part of Fiji. Brief showers over the interior and eastern parts of the larger islands. Elsewhere, fine apart from afternoon or evening showers and thunderstorms, southwest to southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Recapping the headlines, the Prime Minister's office has directed all ministries and departments to spend 60% of their budget on capital projects by June. Lack of dengue testing facilities causing some problems for medical services in Fiji. And second batch of funds under the free education grant were dispersed to schools today. Looking at last week's poll question, we asked, should we have late night shopping? 79% of respondents answered yes. This week's question, we're asking, should the government fast-track its projects for 2014? Visit our FBC website to answer. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's all from the newsroom for tonight. I'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, good evening.
Hope you're enjoying the music right now on Gold FM. Only the classic hits, especially if you're spending your time at home or around the office. I certainly hope you're taking it easy and enjoying the music coming your way. Well, I got a whole lot more to keep you moving and to keep you going right up until you reach knock-off time. I'm Kara. Join me every weekday from 2 to 7 on The Ride, only on Gold FM.
Bola, oya wasala bilawa. Do pataki au mena diwa kina tini karona kaloko na single boni moniti kina vagaromboka. Kako ni valatana no musini sersari. Na kai samariando loloma leone vani ni nau. Omgori ke de mena diwa kina tini karona kaloko na single boni moniti kina vagaromboka. En Bula FM number 2 en sere.